He's back for, I think, his third visit on the podcast, which makes me very happy.
I'm a recidivist.
Absolutely. You might be in the lead in the playoffs, I'm not sure. Admiral Rogers has a long legacy of service to our country, including some time as the director of the National Security Agency and second commander of U.S. Cyber Command. I don't know why he's here talking to me.
Oh, come on.
I love it. We are
recording
about
cybersecurity. That's why.
We are recording live here at RSA conference in San Francisco, and we're picking brain on a few things.
Sure.
So, I've been coming here a long time, and I've always seen keynotes from NSA and other agencies. Just what keynote or booth stuff. Just kind of, what is the goal for an agency when they come to a show like this? Is it networking? Is it recruiting? A little bit of everything.
So it's broad. If you're in the government, think about what RSA represents. Number one, a massive concentration of cybersecurity expertise. So it's very cost effective to come out here as opposed to trying to see so many dispersed outlets all over the country. Number two, you got a broad spectrum of the ecosystem, from technical developers to individual companies to educational institutions to alliances and frameworks. You got all the components of cybersecurity. The next point I make is big in terms of recruitment. We view this, previously I was the director of NSA and the commander of Cyber Command. We viewed RSA as a great opportunity to recruit professional, workforce of the future. We also view it as a great opportunity to put our vision out about, hey, here's what we think are the elements of cybersecurity. We look at the problem set. Here's the way we see it. What do you think? Hey, what should we be mindful of that perhaps we're not thinking? And then you're always trying to identify who are potential future partners for cooperation. How can we find collaborators work together to enhance cybersecurity and cyber resilience? Yeah. So it's a great return on investment. And it's not by chance. There's probably 50 plus NSA people out here reporting.
And I know a lot of folks that work for NSA, whether during your time or before, that are now hugely influential in the community.
Yeah, it is.
Vendors or research.
In the government itself, you look at almost all of the NSC leadership, the National Cyber Director, the Director of CISO, all NSA alumni. Right. I'm very fortunate. I have the pleasure of working with all of them. So it's just great to see them doing great things for the nation.
So some of them, I'm sure, in the CISO chair these days, these people have to have their heads on a swivel, given the political unrest, the geopolitical stuff that's going on. I'm a CISO.
And the legal frameworks that CISOs are having.
And that too. If I'm a CISO and I want to have a talk with you about priorities or just kind of how to do the day-to-day, what's your advice?
So, first of all, this is a tough time to be a CISO. Now, remember, tough times also provide both plenty of risk, but also plenty of opportunity. And now, for me, I love the challenge of leading in challenging times. I just thought, this is what I've trained my whole adult life for. This is why I it took decades to become a senior in the military and the cyber arena. This is an opportunity for me to apply my skills and also to work with some great people. So there are some great opportunities out there, but I am mindful of, look, there's a ton of challenges. So what I try to tell people is, number one, always start with the basics and make sure your foundation is strong. I remain somewhat surprised by the number of organizations. You look at almost every major cyber incident, it is fundamental. Not in every case, but by far in the greater majority of cases. It was pretty foundational, pretty simple kinds of things. Well-known vulnerabilities or poor practices, or security that wasn't fully implemented. So number one, I always tell people to start with the basics. Make sure your foundation is solid. Number two, ask yourself then, what are the fundamental processes, intellectual property, data, what is it that makes my company able to execute its outcomes? Because that's what I got to prioritize my efforts against. That helps me understand. Look, I always just tell people, your job is to see something, because, look, I defended the DoD's networks, the organization I was part of, particularly cyber. And so I used to tell people, look, I used to be responsible for defending large networks that had both massive user communities internally as well as massive external entities that were both accessing our network structure to execute. but also a lot of parties out there who are very interested